Okay. Kum Lenin and Black Gemara. Today's daf is Thursday's daf. Chav Ches Adar Sheni, daf Chav Daled Amar Aleph. We're up to the Mishnah. Mitzvah begadol yavim. The mitzvah is that right now we're learning that not ideally, but the mitzvah is that the oldest one should be the one to miyavim, the sister-in-law. Im kodem, im kidim hakatan zach. The younger one jumped in ahead. Okay, he was like, but the mitzvah is that the oldest one should do it. Why is that? So the Gemara Tanabon we learned. It says in the pasuk, it says in the pasuk, the firstborn, that will give birth, should stand in the place of his brother. So that's clearly the pasuk. The mitzvah is the oldest one. Asher Taylor, what do you mean that will give birth? So we learned right before the Gemara. Prat la'ilness. If this woman is an illness, that she's barren, it's impossible for her to have children. She'ein yeledes, cannot have children. We just began the Mishnah of Chav Daled Amar Aleph. Now the mitzvah of Yibum should be the oldest brother, because the pasuk says B'chor. And then the Gemara says, we're 2 lines from the word Gemara. Prat la'ilness. And she has to be able to give birth, but if she's a barren woman and it's impossible for her to give birth, there's no mitzvah of Yibum. Yokom Hashem Achiv, it said that we should take the place of the brother, L'nachol. That means that whoever marries her steps in and takes over all the assets of the deceased brother. That way he takes over all the assets. Maybe take the pasuk literally. The pasuk says that on the name of his brother, maybe it means it's incumbent to name your son by the name of your brother. Nema can, we say, it says over here, Yokom Hashem Achi, we should take the name of the brother. But Nema Lahala, and it says later on in Bereshis, Al Shem Achei Mikru B'Achalasam, that the inheritance they go after the brothers is Mashem Ha'amul Lahala Nachla's inheritance, Avshem Amakal Nachla's inheritance. Lo Yimach Shmoi, so that his name should not be erased. We're quoting the pasuk. The name should not be erased. If the brother-in-law happens to be someone who is sterile, or the one who was married, the one who's deceased was sterile, so he in any way couldn't have any children. So his name already was erased. So then there's no mitzvah of Yibum. Amar says a very interesting, fascinating statement. The entire Torah, even if we learn drushes from a pasuk, but we also learn to take the pasuk literally as well. Here's an exception. Comes the Gzer Shava of Shem, and completely removes the Pashut Pshat. The Pashut Pshat is you should name the child after the deceased brother. Comes the Gzer Shava, no. It means that the one who marries the Reuven's wife ends up with the entire inheritance. So that's an unbelievable chiddush. A bit hard to understand the Gemara. We just had the same thing a few days ago when the pasuk says over there, is it talking about a husband to take back his wife after she married somebody else? And the Chacham said, we're talking about a site over here, and talking about something totally different, that she's tamei, and so on and so forth. We took out okri legamri. We took out the pasuk from pasuk pshat. We completely changed the pshat. And here we're saying kol teira kula as if this is the only place. But difficult to understand. I haven't seen any Mepharshim refer to that. Says the Gemara further, I don't understand. Forget about anything. There's no other way of living pshat in the pasuk. That can't be means naming. Why not? But look at the pasuk. It says lahakim shem achiv in third person to his brother. Who are we talking to? I thought shem mamish. I thought literally means name your kid after him. Who are the Torah talking to? If it's Yavim talking directly to the brother-in-law Shim who's marrying Reuven's wife, then it should say Yakum Hashem Achicha. You make sure that you name your child after your brother, not his brother. Ila Beidin talking to Bezin, then what do you mean his brother? It should say Yakum Hashem Achei Avi Beilei. Bezin should talk in Morimo, third person, saying this is the rule. You have to tell people that you should name after the paternal brothers. So therefore, must be that person pshat. Must be that he take over the inheritance. Says more no. But maybe this was the Torah meant. The Bezdin, the Torah is talking to the Bezdin. Tell the brother-in-law, Yakum Hashem Achid, that tell the brother-in-law that you should take care of your brother and step in and name your kid after him. Ella say the Shabbat, come along the Shabbat. I think the Gamri removes it completely. Completely removes it. In the Chaim already writes, and Ramban writes, I have a big side that the whole idea of Yibam is that the neshama of the departed comes into the child that is born. So in a way, it is kipshut Hashem Achiv, and what Rabbi means that it's not Kipshut Mikra here because this is Alpi Kabbalah. The whole idea of Gilgul Neshama, that Neshama comes back, is not mentioned anywhere in Nigla at all. It's even had a little bit of a remez in the Gemara once in the Gemara Cotton, but rather when he said it, when he said in the end of Gemara Cotton, if you bring me back into this world, I still wouldn't want to encounter the Malach Mavos again, no matter how easy it was the first time around. So we see the idea of coming back to the world, but nevertheless, there's no such thing as Gilgul Neshama. It's only in Kabbalah, and maybe that's what it means. That over here is completely out of pshat. What does it? What it mean? It's Alpi Kabbalah, that the neshama comes down into the child. Anyway, so when further Hashlam, now you tell me clearly B'chor means literally the firstborn. So maybe Taka, maybe the mitzvah of Yibum is only the B'chor. Who said that the younger brother? You said in the Mishnah, if the younger brother jumps in head, he gets it first. Maybe it's only the B'chor. Says it can't be only the B'chor because in Canaan. So that's a simple question. It says if Reuven died and Shimon was born, or Levi was born afterwards, she's forbidden to Levi. What do you mean? If Levi was born after Reuven, then he's no longer the B'chor. So there's no mitzvah yibum. What do you have to tell me that if he wasn't around? And if it was around, as long as he's younger, he's exempt. Clearly, any of the brothers can marry, but not if he came around later. Even Cain, where it says, why do you have to exclude the younger brother who wasn't around at the time? Must be clearly that what? That it doesn't matter what age you are. The mitzvah is the oldest, but anyone can marry. So the mother what happens if maybe this is a b'chor, but a maternal b'chor, and the Torah therefore tells you, but he wasn't around, you can't. So the mother, a maternal b'chor has no bearing at all when it comes to yibum. It's only paternal, only somebody who inherits. Who the Muslim can't say the yibum and nachla also about inheritance that we just said, and the nachla and avla. We know that the nachla only goes paternally, not maternally. So you want okay, let's learn the pasuk as follows. If there's a firstborn around, then any of the brothers can marry her. But and therefore we have to exclude somebody who's born later. But if there was no firstborn, then there's no mitzvah at all. Maybe that's kind of possible because it has to be a present. On Makro, it can be because in the pasuk, the mace pasuk, the brothers sitting together, and one of them died, and it doesn't say which one died. It could very well be that the oldest one died, and then the Torah tells you, and the Torah says what? The mitzvah yibum, clearly that the younger one takes over. I don't care which one it is. Mila could very well just as be the oldest one. Reuben was the oldest one, and he died, and Omar Achman says the yabim, and the Torah says that no. That the Yavim Cotton, that the younger brother then steps in. So Gemara says, no, for argument's sake, I can argue maybe the younger brother died. The aim of them is Cotton. No. If the Torah says B'chor, the only one who can marry is a B'chor. The pasuk says if somebody dies, a brother steps in. The younger brother died. Reuben happens to be the younger brother, and Shimon was a B'chor, and Shimon steps in. So it can't be. The Torah comes along and says that what do you call it? That it says two brothers. It says there were two brothers, and the other one steps in, and we learn that. But if the other brother wasn't around at the time, doesn't step in. Now, if he wasn't around at the time, the only way he can step in is if he's younger, obviously. What do you have to tell me that? What do you tell me if he wasn't around the time? If he was around the time, if it's the younger one, he's exempt. It's irrelevant the fact that he wasn't around at the time. All that matters is the younger one. So therefore, again, proves that any of them can be miyam. The fact that we need to learn out that somebody wasn't born at the time. Says the Gemara, let's learn another way. The other way around. If there's no b'chor, then any of them can them cotton zoch. But the ikab b'chor, cotton zoch, maybe the other way around. If a b'chor is existing, only the b'chor can marry. Mitzvah yibum. If there's no b'chor, then any of the brothers can. Now everything makes sense. That's why we have to exclude someone who wasn't around at the time. So you want to say it can't be because Amar present pasuk Yeshua, you have the brothers sit together. Hukshi shiva achas says that all the brothers have to be equal. So if it says let's say if there's a b'chor lehedir agodim, then we have to look for the oldest one. If there's no b'chor, then ain't chayzin ain't tzaddik. You can go to any of the children. Okay, b'chor Taylor means start from the oldest. You know what? If there's a b'chor present, if there's no b'chor present, you can start from the youngest. Maybe. And what's wrong with that? Allah Tani, why do we learn Abai Kshisha? Abai, the old one said, mitzvah begod liyam. First, we start out with the older one, work our way down. There's a hierarchy here. Forget about the b'chor. Even if there's no b'chor, the older brother, then that, and the younger. Where do you get that from? Maybe the only time you go to the older one if there's a b'chor there, but there's no b'chor, you go to any of them. Then you go back to if none of the brothers want to marry, you go back to God and say you got to do either chalitz or yibum. Gemara says kibchor, ma b'chor b'chor. What's the special b'chor? Because he's older. He's avgod l'osher garmela. So too, any of the older brothers are considered older. And the big machlek Nashani one says you have to give respect to your older brother. Kabit es avicha. Avicha es means your older brother. Does it mean only the oldest brother, or means anyone older than you? Like you see right over here. The animal, let's say, okay, let's learn this. When do you take over the inheritance if you're the b'chor? Anybody else can marry her, but they don't take over the inheritance. They don't take over the inheritance. Anyone who stands in the place of Reuben, but had it come, the fact is you're standing in the place of Reuben, I don't care if the older or the younger. So why in the world did Torah come if you just proved to me it's irrelevant if you're b'chor now? On the contrary, it's not to bring out the mile of the b'chor, it brings out the weakness of b'chor. What do we know about b'chor? A b'chor gets a double portion, but only in the part of the inheritance that's present. If somebody owes something to his father, that's not a muhzik, that's called a row, and that is not part of the inheritance that he gets doubled. Then he's distributed equally amongst all the brothers. That's what we say. When we say you step into Reuben's shoes and you take everything, it's only those things which are present at the time. And this Yavam, when he inherits his father, he takes over his portion and the portion of the Yavam, right? He steps in, takes over the entire Yavam's portion. It's only the part that the father already has, not if it's only potential to go to the father, then he only gets his own portion, does not take over his brother's portion. Next Mishnah, nothing to do with Yibum. Now we start talking the rest of the page, talks about rumors, how you have to address rumors about lewdness and worse. The rumor spreading around about a person having relations with a maid or nishtachra, and then she became free. She's now a full-fledged Yid. Or a non-Jewish woman. The rumors that he had some kind of relationship with her when he's guided that she converted. You should not marry her, because then if you marry her, then you are going to corroborate all these rumors. Sounds like what's interesting about whether the conversion turns out to be a valid conversion, even though now proven that the only reason why she converted out of love. The kinnis aim to be married her, they can remain married. It seems to accept conversion as well. I need to know the rumors that a person is infidelity going on with this married woman. And the original husband divorced her. We'll see later whether it means that he was forced to divorce her or he just did. Alpha Peter Connors and the person of the rumor is all about. Then when they had married, they stepped in and married her, you have to divorce her. Because if it's true, we'll see later whether witnesses that it's true that they committed adultery, then we know that the prohibition is she should not live with a husband, nor can she live with an adulterer. Echad lebal, the echad lebal. Says the Gemara, Huggy, you didn't have it. Sounds to me that she's a convert, even though we know she did it for ulterior purposes. What I mean, I ask a question, it says, Echad is the guy if a man, let's say, converts because he fell in love with a Jewish woman, or Echad is the guy or a woman converts because she fell in love with a Jewish man. A person converted because he thinks he'll become wealthy, or Lishum Abdish wants to become like one of Shleima's servants who consider very respected and Einan Gadim. None of them are Gadim. If you have an ulterior motive, they're not a valid convert. David Abd Nechemia comes along, although people converted because they were scared of the lions. That's we have the Kusim. And even the opinion that says that the Kusim were really Geirei Emes, were true Geirim, here says they converted later on again, or at the end of the day, their conversion really was Shem Shemayim. And whether they became a convert because they had a dream and the dream told them that they have to convert. Again, so there's a ulterior motive, they got scared and they did it. All the Gadim that it says in the Megillah towards the end that Rabbi Me'ami or Messiadim, all these people became Jewish. Why they become Jewish? Because they eat more on top of the world again. Ainum Gadim Achi is Gadim is Mazah. They're not valid converts until they convert today. What do you mean today? Because Manas like that. Only today they can convert and not then. What about all the Gadim we had over the centuries? Elaima, like Rochav Hazaina, Bisia Baspare, Elaima say Kibbiz Manazeh. They should be like today. The Jews are now on top of the world. So if somebody converts, obviously they're genuine. But if they convert at the time when Eden are glorious, they're doing it because they think they can get some more glory by becoming Jewish. So the Gemara, so our mission seems to be saying that they're converted. How can that fit in? We don't pass like a we hold that even though they for the reason it's considered proper gadim, they are valid gadim. So if so, said the Gemara, so what's the problem? Why can't he marry in the first place if they're convert? Rabasi said, you have to make sure that you remove people's wagging tongues. People, don't give any ground to, if our rumors abounding about terrible things, don't give them any reason to continue to abound it. So we learned, ain't becoming a Mashiach. We don't accept Gavin once Mashiach comes, but anybody comes to convert, then doing for ulterior motive. Like Kiblu Gadim, they didn't accept Gadim, Leibe made David, Leibe made Shleim, because it was clear they didn't do it for the right reasons. If they did become a gay, it's one thing, but if they do it for that reasons. In Megillah says clearly, but Rabbi Mamad is Mesyadim. So Taisa says they did it on their own volition. Doesn't mean that they were propagating. Or he called them, a second Pshat in Taisa, they called Gadim Gerudim. What about Shlomo Melech, all his wives? He converted, all these royal family, princess and all that. So Taisa says, since these people came from royal families, they didn't become Jewish in order to have royalty. They already had it. So it must be there was some truth to it, including Bas Pari that Shlomo Melech married, even though that was the biggest mistake, and says that's when the Gabriel came and put the stick in Italy came about. Anyhow, it's big machlek Hashem how to learn pshat over here. Somebody with ulterior motive. The Rambam seems to be learning according to most Mefarshim that after they become a gay and it becomes clear that they're doing it for ulterior motive, we have to stand and monitor them and see how they behave afterwards. If they keep Torah mitzvahs, good. If they don't, it unravels retrospectively. The Mukiyesha says in interesting word. He says even if we know afterwards there's ulterior motive, since the only way they can marry, let's say, this Jewish man or this Jewish woman is by becoming Jewish. So even though they were sort of forced into it, we have a rule that if you're forced into something, once you did it, you reluctantly accept it willingly. So same over here is even though we know for sure that it's for ulterior motives, once they did it already, they did it willingly, and therefore it's a valid gatus. Even if afterwards they become non-religious again, the gatus is 100%. Says, "My crow. What's the pasuk? The pasuk says, "Hein goer yogur. When do you become a ger? Efes ma'isi. When I'm not around, when things are not going well. Mi gor oisach alechi. They'll come and fall on top of you. In other words, it'll be great things. Only if they become a ger when the Jews are not doing that well, which is quite extraordinary. How many gating we have here in Australia? Be way beyond proportion. People from all over just want to come eating here. So many gerei tzedek, genuine gerim, which is pretty amazing." Then the Gemara continues, the rumors about a person for infidelity, adulterer, he shouldn't marry her. If he did, he has to leave her. We'll have a big machlekes between Rav and Rosh Hashanah. Says the Gemara, Rav says, the only time we say that he's not allowed to marry her is our witnesses that they commit adultery. So she had to leave her first husband. And then the second guy comes along, he has to leave. But if there are rumors abounding, just rumors, and the husband decided, the first husband doesn't have to then divorce her. According to Rav, if there are rumors that somebody's wife committed adultery, there's no inyan for him to divorce her. The only thing is, if he does want, according to many Rishonim, if he does want to divorce her, she forfeits a ksuva, because there's these strong rumors, but he doesn't have to divorce her. Then, if the second person takes her, again, he doesn't really have to divorce her. Misha's talking about where there were witnesses. I mean, I think Rav said this when he's half asleep. Could be learned in the Bryce as follows. We have two Bryces he's going to bring that seems to be talking about even with no witnesses, he shouldn't live with her and he has to divorce her. It says, let's say there were rumors abounding about a person who committed adultery. And as a result of these rumors, the first husband, we'll call the first husband Reuben, the second husband Shimon. Reuben had to divorce her. Then she married a third party. And then she was divorced by the third party, Im Kinnis. Now, if Shimon, the accused adulterer, alleged adulterer, he cannot stay married. If there's another person in the between who married her, and then she's divorced from that other person or became a widow, she'd now go back to Shimon. Now, hey, what are we talking about? If there were witnesses that they committed adultery, who cares how many people she married in between? The Torah says, Echad lebal, echad lebayrosh. If she committed adultery with somebody, we know for a fact, and then she can never live with the guy again, if there were witnesses. But if somebody else married in between, so what? Mahava, still forbidden. Ella must be talking about the Leka Edim. Must be talking about there were no witnesses, but there was strong rumors. So the first husband decides to divorce her, and we say to the second Shimon, you cannot marry her. So she married Levi. Somehow or another didn't work out, divorced. Then she can go back to Shimon. Why? Because the moment she married Levi, people stopped talking. They realized it wasn't true. She didn't leave her husband in order to go to Shimon because she went to Levi, another party altogether. So it's clearly from here that even though there were no witnesses, it's just rumors. Even based on rumors, we want the first husband to divorce her, and we don't want the second husband, the adulterer, accused or alleged adulterer, the butt of all these rumors, to get married to her. But the only reason why we allow it is the third party got involved in between. We told to leave. Says Rav, no. The same thing would apply. The same thing would apply that even though nobody else came. Even if she did not marry Levi, the same thing would apply. There were no witnesses according to Rav. The first husband never had to divorce her. The alleged adulterer is allowed to marry her, according to Rav, and that's halacha. If the witnesses, you're right. I don't care how many people are in between. He has to leave. No witnesses. He never has to leave her. He can marry her. This is what the Bryce is saying. The af and the chiddush here is, but it doesn't look right. Even if she married, with according to Rav, it's only a chumrah. We're saying it doesn't look right. Why are you corroborating these rumors of people saying, "Oh, Shimon had some kind of dalliance with his wife, and now suddenly she's free, and they're married"? It's going to support the thing, so it doesn't look right. Not because it's also it doesn't look right. And so then the Brisa says, and even though she married someone in between, now she's available again. It still doesn't look right. That's all. Not like Abshesha learned that if there's a rumor, it's also for him to marry her. Okay, that's Bryce number one. Bryce number two, Mesa, that's another question. Says, when is all of this said? That if Shimon married this woman that there's a rumor about, and is She'en Labanim, if there were no children from the first husband, so therefore we're going to be machmer and say, nope, we don't want you. Not only we don't want you to marry her. If you did, you have to divorce her. Let's say she had children with Reuben, and then Reuben divorced her, and then she married Shimon. We forced Shimon to let her go. What's everybody's going to say? Oh, the fact that we forced Shimon to let her go means definitely they had an affair. If they didn't have an affair, there could be some of the children of Reuben were actually Shimon's children, and they're all mamzedim. You're casting aspersion on the children. Here we have to take that into consideration. So if there were children, we're going to say, no, what? Don't leave Shimon. Now. If we're talking about a case where we're forcing Shimon to divorce, and we're talking about only according to Rav. If there were witnesses, who cares if there were children or not? And there were no children in the but there were witnesses that they committed adultery. They all live together. I feel the Yeshua Kama Bante go out. Says the mother Rav no. Rav will answer. Rav will say, you know what? The reason why I'm telling you that the Mishnah is talking about the witnesses, you're right. I'm not arguing in halacha. That even though no witnesses, he should leave his wife if there were no children. If there were children, he shouldn't leave his wife. Our Mishnah says you should leave. We're talking about our Mishnah about the word children, and that's why the only possible way the children are Edom. So right now the Gemara is learning, and Rav agrees with Avsheshes that even if there was no witnesses, he should leave his wife, but only if there were no children involved from the previous husband. And why he learns in the Mishnah that they were waiting, because he learns the Mishnah is talking about they were children, and that's why only time he leaves her, Shimon, we tell Shimon, divorce this woman is because of there were witnesses. He said, witnesses. Why does he learn Pshat in the Mishnah by the children? The Yeshla Einu witnesses, the time and only because the witnesses we take out, why in the world does Rav, what forces Rav to learn that our Mishnah talking about they were children? And therefore he says our Mishnah talking about there were witnesses that they committed adultery. Look, since Rav agrees in principle that if there were no children, we force the butt of the rumors to divorce her. Learn that way. There were no witnesses. I've got to like Aiden. Amar Rav says, Rav, the Pshat and the Mishnah forced him to learn this way. So there's no halachic argument here. Everyone agrees, everyone's on the same page, that rumors are enough to force the guy to divorce her if there were no children. But Mastis and Kashi say, bothered in the Mishnah, Hoitzi'ua means that the first husband was forced to divorce her. Why was the first husband, Hoitzi'ua, was taken away from him? Why was he forced? It was only a rumor. A husband doesn't have to divorce his wife if it was only a rumor. It's up to him. Listen, and obviously she denies it. Listen, Hoitzi'ua. Let him just say Hoitzi'ua that he happened to divorce her. The Bezdin forced him to divorce. The Bezdin would not force the first husband to divorce her unless there were witnesses. That's the first way of learning. Or boys, another way of learning is actually a big argument here between Rav and Rav Sheshes. Rav holds that based on rumors, no one has to divorce anybody. And based on rumors, Shimon should marry this woman, but if he did, they can stay married. The only time that you have to divorce if there were witnesses. And same thing with Shimon. And these two brises argue with our Mishnah. Who's the author of these two brises? Hani Masniot Rabchiye. It's Rebbe. Tanya, a very interesting thing. Rebbe says we are worried about suspicions, not only facts, but even suspicions. And we're going to force the person who we're suspicious about to divorce. Reichel Yaitse, a peddler, let's say, of perfumes that goes into people's houses, and then the husband comes home. The Isha Chaget is Besin, he comes home, he sees her putting her clothes back on. Since it's cast, it rouses suspicions. Tate said, we're not talking about leaving the husband. We're not going to force the husband to divorce her. But the Reichel then wants to marry. We're talking about the Reichel. That peddler, he cannot marry. If he does, we're going to force the peddler to divorce. Why? We have no evidence. It's just rumor, but that's enough. So Rebbe holds that rumor is enough to force that the person the rumor is about not to marry. We're not going to force a husband. It's the person that's about. If you see that saliva is up underneath the canopy of the bed, the only way is somebody's lying down the bottom and spitting upwards. Takes it because it seems that it has to be someone lying down as his wife, and she's spitting upwards only during the relations. And therefore, again, ground for suspicion. Case number 3, and Tosha says each one of these things was a case that actually happened, and they asked the Rebbe. That's why we're learning these 3 cases. According to one shot, is he came home and he found, according to one shot, Rashi doesn't like it, but one shot is that normally he puts his shoes on the one side of the bed and she puts her shoes on the other side. And suddenly he found that her shoes were on his side of the bed. Obviously, somebody else must have put the shoes on the other side of the bed. Somebody else was in the room apart from him. Since it's a mere thing. Takes so the Reichel cannot marry her and then in fact have to leave. So that behold, rumors enough. One ask a question, right now the takes literally the shoes turn upside down. Let's see whose shoes they are. They don't know whether it's an intruder here or not. There's no shoes there. It was the place was either you can see the first Pranashi is you can see that the shoes were there upside down. Wasn't there the normal way. So what do we see from it clearly? According to Rebbe, rumors enough to force the guy who's the rumors about not to live with her. And according to Rav, only Rav was our Mishnah arguing that only if there were witnesses. If there was only rumor, the Chatchila doesn't look right, and Hos said we don't want you to do it to give any ground to it. So we don't want you to go ahead to give any basis to these rumors. But we're not going to force anybody. Says about I look like both. So you want how can it be like both? Kashi rumors is enough to divorce or not? Thinking about like Kashi, it's not a problem. How big color? This is halacha. They argue in all cases, but this is what we rule. How big color the pasuk? If there's a rumor that eventually stops, then halacha like Rebbe, we're not going to force the guy to give her up. How big color the pasuk? Rumor is ongoing, and then halacha is like that was Rav. The halacha like Rebbe that they have to divorce each other. Thinking about color the late pasuk, and he more explains. Call the late pasuk if the rumor continues, even though there are no witnesses, and even though Rav holds it's not grounds to divorce, we don't care. We'll pass like that. If the thing is ongoing, it's stronger than just a mere rumor. Call the pasuk, but if the rumor that eventually stopped, vika edim kirab. But if the rumor eventually stopped, vika edim is kirab. Then then we pass like Rav that only if there are witnesses do we say that he has to divorce. If no witnesses, since the rumor stopped, there was nothing. And even so, we call it possible, even a rumor that's endless, we say that you have to divorce. At Kama, what's the minimum of a period we say it's endless? Oh my foster mother told me, the most of the people who were in the city of Mosa is Yema Palvi. If a rumor goes for a day and a half, that's called a compelling rumor. Then we continue. Yeah, but when do we say this elder possible? When do we say the rumor causes them to separate? Only if the rumor never stopped in between. The rumor stopped, even though it restarted again. That shows it's not a real rumor, and they don't have to divorce, even according to Rebbe. Gets stopped. But again, when do we say that? That if it stops, I mean, the rumor is no longer a real rumor. Is that not because people were intimidated? If they stopped because there were no real grounds to it, even though it restarted again, somebody else started the rumor again. Doesn't mean anything. The reason why people stopped spreading the rumor is purely because they were intimidated by Shimon, the machmazidu. That's not called stopping a rumor. Furthermore, when do we say the rumor has some ground to it? If this person had no known enemies, there must be truth to it. If he had enemies in town, then obviously who are the ones who are promulgating these rumors? These enemies. They're the one who came up with this idea. Let's go to the mission. Now we learned. If a person divorces his wife because of bad rumors, and afterwards he changes his mind, he can never take her back again. And very interesting reason why. If a person divorces his wife because for false rumors, and then 2 days later he finds out that she had some enemy made up these stories, and he comes along, and meanwhile she married somebody else. She was upset whenever she found somebody else, she married somebody else. Then he makes the following comment. Oh, had I known that the whole thing was above my side, I never would have divorced my wife in the first place, which means he's casting aspersion on the divorce, saying the whole thing was a mekachtos. If the whole thing is mekachtos, she's still a married woman. And then her children, if she has any children, will be mamzerim. We don't want that to happen. So we tell every man that if you can divorce your wife based on these rumors, you should know you can never take her back again. So you cannot cast any aspersions on this divorce. Same thing with neder. If a person, if she makes some kind of vow that it affects their marriage and their relationship, and he divorced her based on that, and then tomorrow he finds out, oh, I could have gone to a Rav and been mata neder. We don't let that. We tell him, you should know that you could have been mata neder, and once you divorce her, it's too late. You can't take her back. Don't go tomorrow and say, had I known, I would never give the divorce. But then you're going to cast aspersions on her children from the next marriage. Lo yachse. So that's what it says in the Mishnah. What happened? He didn't listen to this law. He divorced her based on these false rumors, and then right next day he found out that is all not true. He took her back. He shouldn't have, but he did take her back. What's it did? Does he have to divorce her or not? We learned if somebody, if there were rumors between Shimon and Reuben's wife, Reuben divorced her, even though Shimon married her, he must separate from her. In other words, rumors are strong enough to say you must separate from her. So therefore, maybe same thing here. They want that if he married her after divorce and he was told not to marry her, he should have, and then he took her back, even though he was told not to by a neder or because of Shemra, he can take her back. He shouldn't, but if he did, he did. They said to me, dummy, what do you compare? Hasam Haitiyua. In our mission, talking about that Reuben, the original husband, had to divorce her. And therefore, we tell Shimon, we don't want you to marry. If you did, get out as well. Because the Bezin intervened. Obviously, it's more than just a rumor. Over here, you did it on your own volition. But Rabbi Nachman, however, says, I don't think the word is Haitiyua. I think the word is Haitiyah. That Reuben decided to divorce her, not because the Bezin intervened. So the it's the same. So should answer your question over here. Bakati midame. How can you compare? Over here, over there, it's the husband who divorced her. Sorry, over here is talking about that the husband took her back. So the because the husband took her back, it doesn't look so bad. In the case of our Mishnah, what happened? The husband divorced her, and the guy that the rumors are about that he was having an affair with this woman is now marrying her. That corroborates the rumor and makes it look worse. In the case of here, the husband was told, once you divorce your wife, you cannot take her back. It's based on these reasons. And he took her back. Does it look so bad? It doesn't look bad at all. So therefore, they can stay married. Hassan Boy, they're talking about adulterer. He said back to him, they're both the same cases because they're both with the Rabban. The whole idea that they should marry is only Rabban doesn't look right. Yet Hacha Amar Rabban, here the Rabban say Yichnas. The Imkanas Yaitzi, and if they did marry in our Mishnah, we say he must divorce her. So Hachanami shouldn't the same thing be here. Amar Rabban Layach. The Rabban said, look, don't get married to this woman that you divorced based on the grounds of a rumor. The Imkanas, but if you did take her back, Yaitzi, you have to let her leave. It should be the same thing. But Layin is different. But what are you talking about? Hasam al Melakala. The rumor was that Shimon was having an affair with Reuben's wife. If after Reuben divorces her, Shimon marries her, what does that do to the rumor? It strengthens it, doesn't weaken it. That's why we say you have to divorce. But Hacha Amrinan, here we say that there's a rumor, all kinds of rumors, but now that he married her back, obviously the rumor about her is not true because her own husband took her back. So it's very different. This finishes today, Gemara. Let's take